How you guys doing? Trying something new, going live. My first time doing this. Um, okay. Using my webcam. Trying to get fancy. Am I clearing up? Okay. Okay, people. I wanted to come on today, do this live, and I want to discuss the migrant crisis is finally hitting Atlanta and Boston. Okay. Actually, it's been going on. I don't know if it's, I think it was a media blackout in here in Georgia. It's been real quiet, so I had to do some searching, and I found a news story that's dated like back in October of last year, concerning the migrant crisis, and this immigration crisis. Atlanta sets aside $7 million to help charities fight influx of migrants. Now, this was in October 5th of 2023. So I'm looking around. Okay, I haven't noticed that New York, Denver, and Chicago has been getting all the press. And but when I hear other content creators mention cities that were receiving migrants from the Texas border, um, they would say Atlanta and maybe some other cities. But I was like, okay, hold on for a minute. I mean, I look at the local news. Because part of my job is keep up with what's going on in the world locally and on a national scale or whatever. So I was like, okay, what's going on? So I started looking around and I found one news story that was on Fox News 5 months ago. So I looked myself and I found this where Atlanta had set aside $7 million to help charities fight the influx of migrants. Excuse me. So said the mayor Andre Deacon saw it and won approval to set aside $7 million to help migrants who may end up here. And this was in October of last year, so I'm like, okay, what is going on? Um, the funds will go to a half a dozen organizations. The money will go for necessities like food, shelter, including hotel stays. The issue was put on Mayor Dinkins' radar after seeing what is going on in New York City. So thousands were bused in from the southern border, overwhelming the city both in numbers and the financial burden. So these are like I'm assuming they're talking about New York, Denver, and Chicago. 'Cause right now they get all the press. So it says if you have, and then it just leaves a message at the end. If you have family members, so I guess this is going out to people. See, because this is what I'm thinking. Okay. If Atlanta's getting the influx of migrants, then something is going. I mean, okay, something's going on. Um, something's going on. So they telling relatives if they're expecting their relatives to be here to to contact these organizations. So it says if you have family members who may have already arrived from the border, Fox 5 has the following list of providers who each were given $1 million plus for assistance. And so they have the International Rescue Committee, Latin American Association, GAIN, and Catholic Charities of Atlanta. So they named these charities. So it's crazy. So I think it's an effort by all the bigger cities to receive migrants. While the border is open, I think it's just an effort to flood the zone with these illegal immigrants. So here's a more in depth. Here's more present. What's going on presently in the Atlanta area when it comes to this issue. It was in the newspaper, but I watch the news every day and I haven't seen it on the news. I'm like, what's going on? It's not on the news. What's going on? So I was thinking that, okay, well, maybe Atlanta is not receiving migrants or whatever. Excuse me. So evidently they have been. So now it's beginning to get out of hand, but it hasn't been in the news. They'll, put it in newspapers, but I'm not seeing. See, there's a lot of other things going on in the background. Excuse me. That's going on in the background. So you have Fonnie Willis issue, the Atlanta DA. You have her issue with what's going on with her. That's a whole nother video. But what's going on right now is Atlanta area lawmakers cite historic number of migrants. Atlanta area lawmakers cite historic number of migrants in a letter to FEMA. So you have Representative Hank Johnson, Lucy Macbeth, and Nakima Williams asked that Atlanta be given more time to use the multi-million-dollar grant meant to help the city a cope with the migrant surge. So evidently they haven't spent the money. So I guess when they receive funds, they're expected to exhaust the funds in a certain period of time. But here's the information from this particular article from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Atlanta needs more time to use millions of dollars it received from the federal government to help feed and shelter an estimated 46,000 migrants that have arrived from the southern border with Mexico. So it's 46,000 of them here, and that hasn't been it hasn't been in the news. So they've been keeping it quiet. In a letter that captures the scale of the recent and ongoing migration surge to the metro area, Democratic U.S. Representative Hank Johnson, Lucy Macbeth, and Nakima Williams asked the Federal Emergency Management Agency to give Atlanta an additional year to spend $6.9 million in grant money it received from FEMA to help meet humanitarian needs with the migrants. So I'm like, I was trying to figure out how they kept it. I wouldn't say it was a media blackout, but they just I watch the news all the time, local news, and then I'm on watching, mostly on YouTube, watching other content creators talk about the issue. And I just didn't feel like didn't know this was going on in Atlanta. I didn't know. So I looked at something and they talked about Boston. Boston had them sleeping in their airport in Logan Airport overnight. See, because in the middle of the night, it's not anything going on in the in the middle of the night. So they would have them sleep there, and then I guess they would get them and send them somewhere during the day, and then bring them back at night because they didn't want people to fly in and see them sleeping. About 100 of them. So that made me okay, let me see what's really going on in Atlanta. So I started doing some research. The allocations was announced in May. It's May of last year now, and the city was given until December 31st of this past year to spend the money. Georgia continues to receive historic numbers of migrants seeking asylum, and with other cities having limited resources, there is no doubt that the metro Atlanta area will continue to be impacted, lawmakers wrote. So this is not good. Um, these mayors, man, these mayors. That's why on my regular podcast on Spotify, I talked about I just came out and said it. I said, black politicians are useless because they don't work for their constituents. They work for whoever the party they belong to, and they work for whoever funding their campaign. They don't work for you know, for their constituents. They just don't. So they're useless, you know. And in November, we need to vote accordingly. You know, whether you sit home, whether you vote for the other guy, or you vote third party. It's three or four people running, independent and Green Party or whatever. So Democrats do not deserve the black vote. Okay. And it says, according to the trio of Congress members, the number of migrants evaluated to receive services locally, 46,000 and rising. Our weekly new arrival numbers continue to increase. So that's, more people are coming here. Um, it's just crazy. It said Atlanta, of course, he's talking about they were dispersed a certain amount of money, and they haven't used it up. So what are they doing? What are they doing? You know, what are they doing with the money? So it says, if granted this 12-month extension, it will result in more asylum seekers being served through the program with improved outcomes. They wrote all the recipients have indicated that an extension is necessary to do the work properly, and we must do what we can to support these direct service providers. So, okay, I wonder. I mean, I've been here a while. I've been here since '05. I've been here almost 20 years. May will make 20 years since I've been here, and they provide services. They provide a lot of services to people um that are homeless in Atlanta and stuff like that. But I just don't think this is a good idea because if you look at California, I was in California for a month in August. California is not hardly any black people left in California. It's not. It's sad, and it's due to this influx of migrants, and it's just crazy, man. So the $6.9 million given to Atlanta was part of 332.5 million allocated to FEMA, Emergency Food and Shelter Program, humanitarian program. Except for a nonprofit in Miami, Atlanta is the only recipient of FEMA aid in the Southeast, with the bulk of the money flowing to local governments and organizations in Texas, Arizona, and California. Over the past 2.5 years, Border Patrol crossing the southern border illegally, okay, that's agents apprehended unprecedented numbers of migrants crossing the southern legally. In fiscal year 2023, those border apprehensions total 2.5 million, surpassing the previous record of 2.2 million in 2022. The bulk of the surge in migrants came from Latin America countries, including Venezuela, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. All right, to help communities across the country cope with the surge of often um, of the newcomers, FEMA announced in late summer that an additional 368 million would be given to communities nationwide through a new shelter and service program. That money included a second grant for Atlanta of $4.8 million. So they received 7 million at first, so now they've received another 4.8 million. I mean, it's about the money. Yeah, it's about the money. It's about the money because it's about the money and not necessarily what's good for the people of Atlanta. Now, what pissed me off is one of the what's I want to say congressperson, but city council members talking about a lot of people came here. Like she spoke to me. She was speaking like is as if black people are were migrants. So they come up with these fancy terms like unforced migration. No, no, that's a bunch of BS. Not unforced migration, but our ancestors were brought here and changed. So there's a big difference. It wasn't like they were seeking asylum. It's nonsense. So when these black politicians, I'm just out with them. The Black Caucus, Urban League, um, three black senators, they are of no use to the black community. None whatsoever at this point. So migrants are only eligible to receive services within the first 45 days of their release from immigration custody. The deadline to expense the SSP funds in was sep- well is September 2025. So they got a little while. So then they got a little letter up here. I don't know if it goes to the Congress of the United States. I don't know if they're asking for more money or whatever. But I just wanted to briefly come on here and give this to you guys. Um, but in addition to that, um, I read a story. I had a story from last night talked about how the black population in the United States in the last 20 years has jumped 30 per 32%. You know. So when if you're thinking, they had lied to us for years thinking that we was only 13% of the population for the last 50 years, which is an impossibility. So it's come out now through a study through Pew Research that our numbers have increased 32% in 20 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So if you think, and it showed that the population of black people in America are mostly young, most of the young people. So in another 20 years, it would double. So you just only got to think that, you know, that's to me, it's just my opinion. They flooding the zone because they want to drown our numbers out and drown us out. Period. So that being said, I'm gonna end this live stream. This is new to me. I hope that well, I guess I'll see the video later to see how it actually came out. I guess I'm be doing these live streams more often, you know, because I have been using my phone. I'm actually using my webcam for this particular video. Well, like you guys, I'll see you guys the next time I make another video. Y'all be good to each other. I know it's hard, and as like I always say, I see you cats again the next time God leaves His footprints in the sky. Deuces. Peace out.